What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get their music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and more. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings, getting your music onto platforms and into stores 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. They help with cover song clearance, automatic splits, and they offer all kinds of tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and appreciate their business model that offers more features and tools than any other distributor while doing it at the most affordable price for solo artists, bands, DJs, studio artists, and any other creators that are making music or producing music in their home, and they offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers that they offer to creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 a month. And even their top tier is only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off their first year of service with DistroKid, making their affordable prices even cheaper for you. I will put that discount link in the episode notes. It will also be in my Instagram bio. Big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this podcast for more than 3 years now. Much appreciated. Now let's get into the episode.
Looking down at the corner of the slow
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning into the program once again. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you on Tuesdays, and if you want to help support this thing in a free way, you can do so by clicking subscribe on iTunes, clicking write a review, giving the podcast 5 stars if you feel like it is deserving of so, and that will help propel this thing into the tops of those iTunes charts, giving it more visibility on the national and international levels, helping strangers find the podcast. Just a great way to contribute to the growth and sustainability of this thing. Appreciate the hell out of all the folks that have already taken the time to do so. If you're not listening on Apple, just hit like, follow, subscribe wherever you are listening from. Tell a friend about the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit subscribe there and check out all the other content on the Prime Time Cable channel. Just dropped a new video of my friend and former guest of the podcast, Isabeau, up there, of a song that we recorded over at Destination Universe with our friend Ayal, who is a killer musician and has been flexing his audio engineering skills as well. So really stoked on how that video came out, so please check that out as well. This week on the podcast, we've got singer-songwriter and musician Tim Howe on the show. Tim has a couple Portland, Oregon-based bands that he is a part of, one being his band Vista House that he is the main songwriter for, and he's also a part of a band called First Rodeo with his buddy Nathan Tucker, which they both write songs for that band. Both bands have recent music out to check out. I stumbled upon Vista House sometime last year at a Ron Tom's Sunday session here in Portland, and just dug the tunes and have been keeping up with Tim ever since. Tim is also part of an organization called PDX Songwriters that we talk about a bit during this conversation. PDX Songwriters is doing a lot for the growth of the songwriting community here in Portland. And he also mentions his friend Rose Gerber on this episode of the podcast, and Rose is going to be an upcoming guest as well, so stay tuned for that one. But just a really fun hang with Tim. This is kind of our first time that we've ever had a one-on-one hang and gotten to have an in-depth conversation, so appreciate him taking the time to kind of run through his music background a bit and what has informed his lens for songwriting over time, and how those things have changed, and and just what he gets out of creating music. And you can check out that brand new First Rodeo record coming out May 16th. That's this Friday. I've gotten a sneak peek out of it, and I've gotten to listen to it quite a few times. Just some killer tunes that I have had on repeat ever since Tim has sent me the record. So check that out. All the links for Vista House and First Rodeo and PDX Songwriters will be in the episode notes. If you dig the music in the episode or just dig the chat, be sure to check out all the tunes that Tim is a part of. And the First Rodeo album release show is May 21st over at the Showdown here in Portland, Oregon, one of my favorite music venues in the city. And Tim used to have this podcast called Purity Wing, where he would review chicken wings in the nearby area. So you will enter the conversation amidst Tim telling me about some of his wing wrecks. And we're going to jump into this thing, kicking off the episode with one of my favorite tracks from First Rodeo. It's off that new record. This one is called Nothing, and this is episode 445 of the Dan Cable Presents podcast with Tim Howe. Now let's do the damn thing.
I was preaching to a deaf choir. I was hard as string lights and barbed wire. My body was sharp ice and dull fire. No date on the bottle, but the feeling expires. But it doesn't sour straight away. Walking around while it fades away. I was thinking about something that I shouldn't have been. It's obvious now, but it wasn't then. And your voice is cold and the days are long, baked in sun. I'm finding brand new ends to burn the candle from. And now I'm back to the chorus, looking over my shoulder where the floor is. Squeezing the pith out of an orange. Living off credit and sleeping in storage. Back to the palace of bad vibes. Bad company, bad food, box wine. Oh, but we still have a good time. We always could have a good time. Maybe tomorrow you will need my love.
Like, you can take those bad boys home, and they're still going to be crispy. That's a great, wing. Yeah, that's a great anything. That's a great anything.
You take that home.
Oh man!
Fire that thing up the next day.
Yeah, that's a great friendship. Nice long half flat, crispy out of the container. It's either that or Peter's,
which we actually never reviewed we never got there. But Peter's is right across the street from Fire on the Mountain on Fremont and like 70 something, or out a little further east. Everyone goes to Fire on the Mountain. No disrespect. Maybe a little disrespect.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not gonna blow your socks off.
I'm never choosing to go to Fire on the Mountain.
Yeah, well, you should choose to go to Peter's next time you're out there, because it's not something that they're like really advertising. They know that like Fire on the Mountain's right across the street, but it's like this humble giant. They're just like so fucking beautiful. Like they're just like the encyclopedia or like textbook version of a buffalo wing. Okay. And then the wild style or like Pan Asian wing, it's a place that no longer exists, I don't think. Maybe in like pop-up form. But it was a place called Pray and Tell. Did you ever go there? It was on
is next to Mississippi Pizza?
Yeah, it was like
now it's the Uncanny.
Yeah, in fact, I think that maybe? Pray and Tell was in the Uncanny. It was like their food was Pray and Tell, and it was, I want to say like Malaysian wings, and it was like flavor combinations that I had never had before, which is hard because I like to eat, I like to try things, and to like go in and be like, I've never tried these two like combinations together. It blew my mind. They had like this like black molasses garlic wing that was fucking unbelievable, and they're little guys, but you just kind of like popped them in your mouth and just flicked them. Yeah, it was like I don't know, peanuts at like a Roadhouse where you can just kind of throw them on the ground. Yeah.
Is there something like fundamentally that you think like makes a good wing?
Well, it's that crispiness to sauciness ratio.
Okay.
And like how long they can maintain their crisp once sauced.
Yeah.
But also, for me, it's not about the size of the wing. It's like I know that sounds.
This is the clip right here.
Yeah, there it is.
We'll be clipping this.
It's the motion of the chicken. It's just like it's about the sauce has to have something more than just Frank's red. Like I'm okay with a Frank's wing, but like I want you to zhuzh it with something a little bit more butter,
Okay.
garlic.
Yeah.
Give me that little extra and like, stand out for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
How about you?
My preference is always usually the dry rub and being able to dip.
You're a dry boy.
Yeah.
Damn. Coming from like a tuna aficionado, I was really thinking you'd want to get wet with it.
I just think I like my options.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess-
the dry rub like gives me.
Yeah.
Then I can just have a tray of sauces
That's
to
true.
dip into.
Well, that's the move at Fire on the Mountain, because those wings sog over, the minute they hit the order up bell. But if you get them dry and just order the sauces on the side, you're good to go for a while.
Yeah.
So that's my little hack. Yeah, I gotta come clean here, Dan. I was really, before I got here, I was doing a lot of research on a tuna sandwich that I could like bring you, and we could just like I could like spring it on you. But like I was looking through Tuna Boy, and you've covered everything that is open right now.
I've tried to. I definitely have like some to work through on the list.
Yeah.
There's some sleepers out there that I
Yeah.
haven't made it to. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate the thought though.
Yeah. I also didn't want you to like I know you, but I don't know you super well. And if I just like surprise you with a sandwich, would you be like pissed and be like, dude, we don't cross that over here? Like this is
that would have been
okay.
incredible.
Hell yeah. Well, thought that counts.
It's,
then.
I mean, I'm pretty disappointed now.
There's a place. Have you done I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, man. Can't win here.
I was going to bring you a gift, but
right.
I didn't.
Yeah. And that's the best way to do it. No, there's this place called Parkside. Have you been there? It's like in Kenton.
Okay. No.
It's on the side of Kenton Parkside.
All right.
And it's they've got like a tuna sandwich with they do like a grilled cheese skirt on it. They like grill the cheese and then
All right.
like take it off the plancha and throw it on there. So it's like a nice crispy bit on this it's a tuna melt, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You're into it?
it rips.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Or
put it on your list.
All right. I'll put it on the list. I'll go over to Specs,
Specs. Yeah, exactly. Yo,
grab a couple records.
shout out Specs. I love that place.
Grab a tuna.
Oh, a perfect day, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, take it over to the park. Why don't you?
Yeah.
Lay on your belly and kick your feet up in the air and have your sandwich. It just sounds great.
Perfect day.
Yeah, perfect day.
Well, now that you didn't bring me a tuna sandwich, now I have to go get one.
Yeah, well, maybe what I gifted you was a quest, and that's the best gift there is, man.
You've given me the plans for the day.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, I'm stoked to have you on the pod. I really just kind of stumbled upon your band Vista House
Yeah.
at a Ron Tom's Sunday session, which
shout out
by
and R.I.P. Right?
yeah, rip.
God,
Rip. I didn't even know that until I was cruising the old IG yesterday and saw somebody post like, "Oh, this is one of the last Ron Tom sessions.
Yeah.
Can't believe it." And I was like,
it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I don't think they've been like. I don't go to all the sessions, but it feels like they're like it was kind of short notice.
yeah,
on
that festival end of Ron Tom's festival
brutal.
poster kind of came out of nowhere. Definitely a legendary Sunday spot.
I really hope that like someone picks up the mantle for like Sunday free shows.
Yeah.
Because it feels like something so instrumental to like Portland music culture.
It's definitely a free show is a great way to introduce people to new music.
Yeah.
Because there's just no risk. Or even that night that I cruised over to Ron Tom's and Vista House was playing, that was very like spur of the moment. Like I was with a group of friends down the street.
Yeah.
And the thing ended and a few of us wanted to keep hanging and we were like, oh, we could go to Ron Tom's and just like this Vista House band is playing.
Hell yeah.
None of us know about it. Let's just go check it out.
Yeah.
And it's rad, like to just walk in to a place and, you know,
truly
music is happening and, you know, it's just something accessible for anybody over the age of 21.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Is, just a free event where you can just go check out music.
Speaking of like over 21, you know, there's that new venue opening up. The Friends of Noise is opening, the all ages space, also in Kenton.
At the old Dancing Bear.
Dancing Bear. Yeah, a storied place, I'm told. But like, I hope that it just feels like there's like a lot of potential for new venues to. We've been in a bottleneck for a while with like Doug Fir being closed down for so long, and now Ron Tom's and Kenton Club has like kind of switched up the way they do booking, and it just feels like there's all these little places that have made it a lot more difficult, or not them, but just like the I don't know, the times that we live in have made it more difficult to have an abundance of shows, and I'm really hoping that we're coming out the other end right now.
Yeah, or hopefully maybe we're heading into a new era of house shows. Like we have like Archie's Bunker, which is
Archie's.
I think that they have done a great job of making those more of like monthly events rather than like exhausting their neighborhood with having shows every week and multiple shows. Like I think a great way to not piss off your neighbors is to make it this thing that is not that invasive.
Right.
And they have, seems like they've figured out a good way to do that. And I just remember when I moved to this city like 12 years ago, how many cool house show spots there were. And that was really my introduction into house show culture.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
That stuff wasn't happening really in the suburbs of California unless it was some like backyard hardcore show.
Yeah, truly.
You know?
Well, I'm from Bend, Oregon, which means that like the only music that happens is like, I don't know, Dave Matthews tribute bands, and like that's not true. There's some very cool music in Bend. It's just like that place is such a life is good t-shirt of a town that like it just like awesome, it's so hard to go back there and like I don't know. I don't want to shit on Bend. I love Bend. It's just it was, you're right. When I moved here in 2008, and like very quickly house shows became what it meant to be in the city for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the music that was coming. I mean, that was huge, but it was like I felt like I had stumbled into like a secret dimension or something where it's like, oh, there's this whole other community that happens because people make it happen in their own living rooms.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But do you ever get the feeling that, and you know, this is just, I can only speak from my own experience. Do you ever feel like we've just like aged out of house shows? And
I mean, that's
happening?
all. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for me at this point to be showing up to some 19-year-old's house show.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I hear this band really rips.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, why? Sorry, who are you?
Yeah.
Who invited the cop?
Just the guy in the back. I'm just like, hey, is this show going to start before 8 p.m.? Because I gotta get home.
Exactly.
I gotta get out of here.
Oh, the wife didn't want to come this time, but yeah, we're going into season 2 of Lost right now. Yeah, we're going back. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a real possibility
Yeah.
that I just like don't know about these things. And maybe that's why I appreciate something like Archie's, where I feel like you can be 25 there or you can be 40 and it's probably okay.
And it's probably because of their like consistency and like the way they kind of curate shows and that they just do it once a month.
Yeah.
It makes it feel more like, hey, we're here with some intention rather than just like this is gonna kind of devolve into whatever it needs to be. Yeah.
Well, I was stoked that I stumbled upon Vista House that night. I was pretty grabbed by the tunes and the performance, and
Thanks, man.
felt like it kind of had this maybe the pop sensibilities in some way of the Tom Petty stuff that I love.
Fuck yeah.
And but also maybe the grittiness of like some Modest Mouse.
Hell yeah.
Or things in that realm of like the Dinosaur Jr. stuff.
Yeah.
It just felt like it had a little bit of that, I don't know, unpolished punk rock spirit in some form, and I think I get that out of the first Rodeo stuff as well. But what was like your introduction to songwriting, or like what hooked you into playing music? Were you doing a lot of that back in Bend when you were growing up?
A little bit. When let's see, my sophomore year of high school, I took a class at my high school. I was really, really lucky that we had this. We were like super fortunate. It's a public school that offered this class called the Americana Project. And it was like a class that you could take as many times as you wanted. And you learned the history of like American folk music. You learned how to write your own songs, how to perform them, and then how to teach those songs teach songwriting to other people. So like the Americana tradition of like learning and teaching. And so that's where I started writing my own songs.
This is just an elective at school.
Yeah. I took it like 2 or 3 times.
That's amazing.
It was incredible. It's where I met some of like my best friends and like people I still really admire. Dan Pantenberg from like Autonomics.
Yeah.
That's where I met Dan. We started in a band called the Flying Knives, which was just me and him doing like dumb acoustic music.
Autonomics, one of my all-time favorite Portland bands.
Hell yeah.
I don't know where you are, Autonomics, but I'm ready for a revival.
They're out there.
At any time, I'll be there.
Yeah, true. Oh, people would come out in droves for those guys. Yeah. I love that band. Yeah, Dan, Evan, Vaughn, we all went to high school together.
Okay.
And they I think at least Evan took Americana Project one of those years as well.
Did you have a guitar?
I had
going into this class, or is that also like things that would be provided?
No, I think that they had a certain amount of guitars that were like provided if you needed them.
Okay.
But I had like a Kirkland brand guitar.
Oh yeah.
It sounded like ass, but it served me well. So yeah, I grew up around musicians. My mom was a singer, and my dad was really good like finger pick guitar player, and my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, is like one of the most talented musicians I've ever seen. He was like an absolute shredder on the guitar, but I think he got bored with it. His mind was just like so far beyond it that now he's like very into experimental ambient music. It's like he found the complexities at like the end of the complexities and just went into the void basically.
He's like, this thing doesn't make the sounds I want it to anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a journalist who like goes to like war-torn countries. Like, I just need to see like the emptiness of some sub-Saharan desert for the rest of my life, because I've seen too much chaos. That's my brother. Shout out Dylan. So yeah, I played a little bit. I was very nervous to play in front of people in high school. And then I played a little bit in college. I moved up here for college. I went to Lewis and Clark, and saw, that's where I really kind of expanded some of my like musical interests and like my friend group. That's where I really got into house shows, bands like Eidolons and Layperson and the Mucks, and just there were all these like, there's like this little circle of Lewis and Clark bands that went on to do like really fucking cool things of their own, but it just felt like that was a really strong community for a bit. And then I moved to North Carolina to teach, which we don't have to get into, but while I was out there, I met my buddy Rose Gerber, who also lives here. Yeah. And she, like, we both landed in North Carolina at the same time to teach, but we were in Portland beforehand.
Oh,
and so we did Teach for America, which is like, it's not as random.
I almost signed up for Teach for America.
Dog. Bullet dodged. I mean, it was a great experience. I learned a lot, but I think that's the part of the problem is like the focus is so much on the teacher's lived experience that, a 2-year commitment to teaching in one of the most challenged, districts in the country, is going to, continue any of the problems that those students are facing. You just become part of that revolving door of employment. That's not what we're here to talk about. But
I'll put the link for Teach for America.
Yeah, exactly. One day all children, right?
Go ahead.
That's what they say. It's like owned by like Republican charter school like consultants now too. So fuck that place. I don't know. There's much better places to put your money and time. That specifically help students in underdeveloped areas. Okay. I was talking about Rose though, because we started a band out there called the Golden Country. And that's really where I got like my love of, I don't know, country and folk music. And where I really like got comfortable playing in front of people, because we got so bogged down by teaching that every single weekend we would book a show in some like random small ass town in North Carolina. So I saw like the whole state doing this, played to lots of different kinds of people, and would play like 3-hour sets, which I can't do anymore. But and so then we moved back here at the same time and played here for a bit. And then we both like started our own projects and stuff. I started playing in my buddy Nathan's band, Cool American, which turned into Cool Original. And then Nathan and I started another band recently called First Rodeo. So it's just been kind of this continuum of like trying different kinds of music and different communities. And yeah, it's been good.
Yeah. What do you feel like about North Carolina really informed your sound?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, okay, I'll start by saying when I first moved to North Carolina, when I was placed there for Teach for America, I did no research on the place. I just like had this idea of what it was in my head. I was like, okay, it's like banjos and beer and like mountains and bluegrass, and that sounds great. I can definitely do that. Well, I landed in eastern North Carolina, which is not that. That's not Appalachia, that's like 5 hours away.
Yeah.
I was in like tobacco fields, cotton fields, very flat, and just it was a huge like wake up moment for me where I was like, oh, I've been sheltered in this like Bend and Portland atmosphere of like walkable cities and like, coffee shops, and like I can just have my friends wherever I want. It was just strip malls as far as the eye could see, flat and sprawling, and you didn't walk anywhere. I walked to the grocery store in Wilson, North Carolina, where I lived, twice, and both times someone pulled over and be like, "Are you all right? Like, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm just walking to the grocery store." They're like, "Well, do you need help?" I'm like, "No." They thought I was broken down or something.
It's like someone who is moving to California and thinks that they're going to be on a boardwalk with the beach, and then realize that they have moved to like Bakersfield, California.
I'm going to surf to work every day. It's not the case. And it was just a big reminder, like that's most of the country, right? There's these pockets that you can find that are like really every major city in America, or like even mid-sized city, has like a radius that you can be in, and you can live that kind of like yuppie lifestyle. But if you leave that radius, then it's like you are driving and you are seeing TGI Fridays, and that's kind of it. But to your question about like the sound, Rose was a huge influence on my sound. She really opened up my eyes to a lot of different kinds of music, and just like old school country that I had never really listened to before. And then just playing in little towns all over the state, you end up playing with a lot of acoustic groups and bluegrass groups and traditional music groups. And so that's who welcomed us in. And so that's what I really like latched onto for a bit. But I think that there was always kind of a healthy tension between me and Rose, where I was always kind of looking for like, I don't know, a little bit more of that like punk ethos, I guess, a little bit grungier of a sound. And that kind of came out in some of our songs. But the community that we tapped into there was not like the rock shit that's coming out of like Asheville now.
Yeah.
Like I love Asheville music. I'm that like 35-year-old who's like fanboying over MJ Lenderman every day.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that was not what was happening at the time that you were there.
It wasn't. No, he was like 7 when I was there, probably. Yeah. Did you go to the show when he was here?
No, I missed it.
It was a sea of dudes who looked like us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that guy is crushing.
Yeah.
The his music seems to transcend generations.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Totally. He's like, I don't know. He's just future dad rock. You
know?
Yeah. Truly.
I'm sure he'd really appreciate that.
Look, yeah. Well, sup, MJ?
Is that at all? One thing that I noticed listening to your music, and something I appreciate, is a lot of your imagery seems to revolve around specific places. You know. Talking about like 82nd Street or like even the name Vista House for your band. Like, did that always exist in your style of writing, or do you feel like being out in North Carolina and visiting a lot of those smaller towns was maybe a part of that working its way in? Or
I think it was me moving back to Portland that really kind of made me think about like place and setting and how that affects the people. I'm sure that my time in North Carolina did a lot of that, but just personally, it was the idea of trying to leave something and coming back. And, the part of my story I haven't got to yet is like, I've moved to North Carolina twice and moved back twice. Like I'm a ping pong ball in that way. But so I think about specific places and how they affect your mental state a lot. Because when I left for North Carolina the second time, it was specifically because I was in a mental place where I felt like I had to like shake things up and leave and do something or I was going to drown. And then I got there and that wasn't the case. I needed to come back. So yeah, I think that I don't know. I'm also like, I'm very influenced like by Elliott Smith, who speaks about specific Portland streets. And I like when I think my favorite songwriters are people who can capture a very specific moment that is very unique to them, but that feels universal. Someone who I think about a lot is Isabel from Baby Tooth. I don't know if you know the band Baby Tooth.
Yeah.
But her lyrics really speak to me because when you listen to them, like I don't know really what moment she was in, but I feel exactly what this was for her, even if it doesn't quite make sense to me. And so that's just something I'm very inspired by when it comes to songwriting, is how do you take an individual's experience and bring people into it.
Baby stole my hands, crawled into the living room, fed them to the dog, sat there in the afternoon, staring at the sun, 'cause all my teachers tell me to. I burn a hole in my head and I
because you do appreciate that sort of thing, do you ever find yourself forcing that into your writing? And like having to kind of discern when it's like actually feels good or
right. Does this feel like a blunt instrument versus is this something that needs to be said?
Yeah.
But like, I have 10 times as many shitty songs as I do good ones, probably 100 times more, and it's just like, it's become part of my practice to like create piles of garbage and pull out the gold from them, alchemy like. That's the dumbest thing I've ever said. But like,
we'll go ahead and leave that in and make that the teaser.
Hey, if that can be like the TikTok clip, that everyone sees.
My songwriting is just very alchemy.
Yeah, I'm the Rumpelstiltskin of shit.
Is it very much a daily practice for you that you like to sit down and
sometimes
try to write, or is it not as
it's become less so recently, but the more I have like motivation to create, the better my day feels, and so I try and make it a practice. For a while there, I was writing a song or two every day. For like 10 years of my life, I was writing a song or two every day, and things have just like slowed down for me. But yeah, I wish I had more of that. It's that and drawing, because I'm a big like illustrator too. I've been an artist my whole life, and I just feel like the last like 3 years of my life, I've become a lot more picky and choosy around it, and I don't especially love that. I wish I could just force myself to become more creative on a daily basis. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you feel like the visual art, the drawing taps into the same creative space as writing music, or does that feel pretty different?
It can.
To you?
Yeah, I've actually, for a couple of my songs, I drew like accompanying graphic novels that go with them.
Okay. When
I write like an especially wordy song, which I want to do, I try and shove as many words in there as I can sometimes, and it can be really exhausting for myself and for people to listen to. But like I when I do that, it's like, okay, I've got like this rich text here. Let's see how I can like visualize this or show people what I was thinking in my head. So like on not my last album, but 2 back, I had a song called Vista House, which is a long story, but I made a little comic book that went with it, and I just sell it at my shows. And I think that kind of stuff makes me feel like everything creatively can be tied to something else that you're doing. Yeah. You
find that one influences or sparks the inspiration from one another pretty often.
Yeah, I'd say so. I really, I just love drawing, because I think drawing and songwriting can tap into a similar part of my brain, which is like sometimes when I'm writing a song and sometimes when I'm drawing, I won't really even know what I'm writing or drawing until I like look back. I'm like, oh, that's what was in there, which is kind of it's cool. Like sometimes I'll listen to an old song. It's like I don't remember a single goddamn minute of writing this song, but I did. And same with like my drawings. I don't actually remember thinking about drawing. Sometimes it just happens. So I don't know, worth exploring, I'd say.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can express different things as well, like through each of those things? Like, are there things that you can say through drawings that you can't put into words all the time?
Yeah, especially when it comes to like the difference between like drawing and songwriting specifically. I think in writing generally you can kind of say whatever you want. I feel like songwriting, you're trying to evoke somewhat specific emotions and scenarios for the listener at very specific times. And people are going to like listen and hear different things. But I think one of the marks of a relatively successful song is that you have an emotion you're trying to convey, and they can then register that in themselves. And I think that in drawing, it's, in my experience, it's a little bit more open. I can draw something, and people are going to get a much wider range of feelings and experiences from a visual. Yeah.
Yeah. Almost similar to maybe instrumental music, where there's not like that narrative to inform what someone is feeling about it. You know, you still have the music to set tone, and obviously like that can evoke like darker, light energy, but the instrumental music always like leaves a little bit more for interpretation, or for the mind to wander in different directions.
I feel like all these things kind of exist on like some kind of continuum, where it's like the most broad and general pieces of art are there to simply like turn on the pilot light in someone's heart.
Yeah.
And then there's on the other end is like something like, I don't know, stand-up comedy, where it's like, I am trying to get a very specific reaction at a very specific time. And if it doesn't work out in that order, then I'm fucked. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like that sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah. Probably, the most vulnerable thing you can do is go stand up there with just a microphone and try to evoke emotion.
It's like, okay, like and that. Open your mouth and laugh now.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel like is the attraction to you for processing the world through songwriting? Because you've obviously been doing it for a very long time now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, in my 20s, I would have said, well, this is my form of therapy. And then I went to therapy, and I was like, oh, it's a little different, I suppose. But I think that songwriting... Is my phone going off? I don't want it to. No. Okay. Someone's calling me. I just want to make sure it's not...
Let's do it on speaker.
Yo, let's
see what it is.
Oh, the wife.
You're on the pod.
Yeah, I don't know you. Okay. Songwriting for me is like a chance to... It goes back to what I was saying before, whereas like sometimes... I won't know like specifically what I wrote. I won't remember it at least until I look back or I listen back. And so for me, songwriting can be this experience of like being able to reflect on a part of yourself that you didn't know you had until later on. Very rarely do I go into a song being like, this is exactly how I'm feeling about this thing. I think that for me, songwriting is the process of trying to figure out what I'm feeling. And sometimes I get it by the end of the song, and sometimes I don't. But a lot of songwriting for me is searching, which I think has been really healthy for me, to be able to like have a practice where I get to just kind of like walk these different paths in my own mind and say, okay, what is this? Like, why am I feeling this thing? Let's sing it out. Let's talk about it, you know? So yeah, I don't get that from a lot of other kinds of art that I do. I can with drawing as well, but like, I think with drawing, I do have more of an understanding of like what I want to say. And with songwriting, it's always been like, I'm going to explore this part of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you're experiencing a lot of vulnerability in sharing that exploring?
Yeah, I definitely. And that's been a process of like, kind of like unfolding different pieces of what I feel comfortable doing. I used to not say the word love because it just felt too raw. I would flip it and say hate or obsess or something that wasn't quite it. I wouldn't talk about specific people. I wouldn't put date markers or like specifics into my songs. I mean, it wasn't as cut and dry as me being like, I'm lying to people. It was a process of being like, I think I'm ready to be a little bit more specific or focus on a different part of myself and let people know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's scary, man. It's really scary to, vulnerability is the practice of like slowly putting your shield down and hoping the person on the other side does the same thing.
Yeah.
I know you've got arrows. Like, I know you've got those fucking arrows.
Yeah.
I'm trusting that I can put this down right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched Braveheart last night for the first time, so
it's really
those
in you.
arrows are on my mind. Dog, that movie is crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I've really seen that as an adult.
Yeah.
You know?
My wife Anna was like, "You want to watch Braveheart?" I'm like, I guess. She's like, yeah, this was like one of my favorite movies as a kid. And we watched it. She's like, I cannot believe I watched this as like an 8-year-old. It is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for a movie that is like about, Scotland's sovereignty, it is probably the most American movie I can think of.
Well, they followed it up with The Patriot.
Yeah, exactly. God, you're right. And then The Passion of the Christ. So
Mel Gibson. What a run.
And then Apocalypto. What a fucking freak.
Yeah.
God.
Not to, then you got What Women Want in the mix. Helen Hunt,
Dude, What Women Want.
Some bangers.
Spoiler, it's Mel.
Yeah. I don't know, as far as that maybe guarding some things and letting that guard down, is it a fine line for you if you're sharing something that also involves someone else in the story or like someone close to you? Like, do you feel like you think about those things pretty differently than when you're just expressing your personal feelings or?
Yes. And when I still don't always like sing directly about people all the time in my songs. Sometimes I will, but like I am still pretty guarded around those kinds of things. I think what makes me most nervous is when I write about something that happened in my past, like and people, I just get in my own head. I'm like, are people going to think that like I'm spinning out on this thing that happened like 15 years ago, or like an old relationship that I had, or a bad breakup that I had, or, and I guess it doesn't work to when you're playing to be like, so this is like from this thing that happened like 12 years ago. Don't worry, I'm over it. Like, you don't want to do that. And so it's not a gamble. It's just like you have to, it just takes a lot of trust in your listeners to be like, I'm just searching something in my head right now.
Yeah. Most people are, they're not experiencing, all of these thoughts popping into their head in some linear form. It's like,
exactly.
You don't wake up thinking that you are going to, unveil something in your mind today from 15 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Let's process the last time you talked to your uncle. It's like, no, I'm not going to. They just kind of pop up.
Yeah.
It's the subconscious. And so sometimes I think, I don't want to sound too pretentious about this, but I do think that like songwriting for me is a chance to look back at the subconscious when it pops up, and so I see you. Let's look into each other for a bit.
Do you think it's gotten easier or more difficult as you've gotten older?
It's gotten easier. Because of things like real therapy, and because of things like understanding where I stand with my friends and having a loving relationship and working through things with my parents and becoming confident in who I am. I mean, I think that songwriting is a huge reason why I am who I am, because it's allowed me to untie the knots that made me feel stuck for so long. So yeah, we're just untying knots out here as long as we can. Yeah.
Where do you feel like you're at with live performance these days? Like, I know you said you shook the nervousness when you were getting all those reps in North Carolina, but does any of that ever creep back in? And like, what do you feel like maybe washed over you that allowed you to be comfortable on stage?
Well, I do love live performance, and I definitely still get nervous. The moment, every single show, there's a moment where I am the most nervous, and it's so stupid. It's the minute I've finished like loading all my gear into the show, and it's like 2-3 hours before the show starts.
Yeah.
And I look around and there's nobody there. And I'm like, well, that's it. No one's coming. And everyone's like, 3 hours from now, people will show up, and so it's always that. And I never feel nervous about how many people are actually in the audience. It's just that moment when there's no one there. That's like, well, why am I even fucking here? That is always that always gives me the nerves. And then the other moment is when I'm playing and. Sometimes I'll just like feel like I'm out of tune or something, and for the rest of the set, regardless of whether I tune or not, I'm just like, this sounds like shit. I shouldn't be here. I'm a hack. I'm an imposter. It's just like on-set imposter syndrome that's triggered by a specific moment on stage. But other than that, I think that I've gotten a lot more comfortable performing and like, I don't know, hyping up the venue and hyping up the other bands, and I just love that. I love that is something that we are like able to do, and that like community is formed from something like music. It's just so fucking cool to me. I think that one of the moments that, well, let me think about that. Moments that kind of shook me from, I think the big one was going on tour. I went on tour with, my buddy Nathan's band, Cool American, now Cool Original. And it was like the tour from hell. It was the absolute tour from hell, Dan. And each part of it got worse. And it felt like we hit rock bottom in a way where it was like, I am free. I can do whatever I want now.
Yeah.
Because I know what the bottom is. And so we got I got my shit stolen in Chicago. We had like a video camera stolen in Minnesota. And then in DC, my appendix burst. I was too stubborn to go to the hospital because I just thought it was like gas or something. Yeah. And it burst but I finally went, and it burst while I was like in the hospital waiting room for like 11 hours. I almost died. I almost went septic. I ended up going on like antibiotics for like a month and a half, and like it just ruined my gut biome, and like that's what like threw me into this depression that was like, now I need to move to North Carolina because this isn't where. So it's like, it was crazy. And then they had to the band had to keep moving because they had a second half of the tour to go on. And they get to like West Virginia, right outside of DC, and the van dies for good. It's like, it's gone. And so at that point, they're like, well, fuck, we're so fucked.
Yeah.
They flew back. They like took a Prius for the West Coast leg down it was a nightmare. but it like fundamentally changed how I feel about performing in front of people, because it's like, well, I'm not fucking actually dying up here, you know?
Yeah.
Like I did in Comet Ping Pong, which is where we played, which is where the Pizzagate shooting was. Yeah. Shout out Comet Ping Pong.
Wild, man. Wild. You mentioned the community around shows. And we do not know each other that well.
Yeah.
But what I gather from my interactions with you and the things that you were involved in, say like something like PDX Songwriters.
Yeah.
It seems like community is very important and instrumental to your being and like the things that you participate in. Can you just talk about what sort of impacts getting involved in a music community like the Portland one has done for your life, or like why it is so important to you participating in
It's the reason I moved back to Portland twice, because I felt like there was just a reason to be here. I understand if there's folks out here who don't like feel the same way, but you know, getting back to the whole idea of like songwriting and performing, I don't know why I would ever perform my music live if it didn't also create some kind of community or benefit some kind of community or foster its growth. That's like what it is for me. Like I can write songs and I can record them for self-exploration and self-expression or whatever. But to perform them live for me is to help create a sense of community. That's it. I love going to shows. I love house shows. I love that like my friends here are 15 people in 25 bands. Like it's so cool to me that's what this is. And yeah, I think that, what was the second half of your question? It's going on a rant there. Just like perform or like community. The
just I don't know, the role that it's played in your life, or just, you know, it always seems to me that if you're investing that much time, that, you know, it's bringing a lot of joy or a meaning to your life, you know, and it certainly has been, not to, you know, project anything onto your answer, but it's definitely like it changed my life, or like it's impacted the way that I get to move about this city, or, you know, there's something about, I feel like I could, for the most part, show up to any show in the city and I'm probably going to know at least one person there, you know, whether I know that person on a deeply personal level or know them just as an acquaintance. And I think that there's something about that like makes my life experience feel more enriched for the most part, you know?
Yeah, I think that like when it boils down to it, community is like people who are passionate about similar things, whether it's family or religion or food or dance or music or politics. That's what community is people who you can like geek out about something with, or be your like silliest self. And so why be in a city like Portland, which is just like this embarrassment of riches when it comes to creativity, if you're not going to also either seek out or build community? That's what a city is a series of communities who have decided that we're better off together. And so, I think that the role that building community around music has had in my life, it is my life. You know, like and I told you this before we started recording. I'm about to become a first-time dad in a couple months here, and like I'm so excited because I get to build a new kind of community. And my sense of who I am in this city is based off of like how I have been able to connect with people around different passions, food and music and art, and movies. And I'm nervous, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how that evolves in this new chapter of my life. But like, I don't know, community is just the understanding that you are more than one person.
Yeah. That's a cool way of putting it. Yeah.
Clip it, put it on TikTok. We're done here.
Yeah, because I do think maybe people know you like very differently from what communities they do know you from.
Yeah. My purity wing heads out there know me as the chicken wing guy.
Yeah.
But my coworkers at work were all pretty surprised to find out that I'm in a couple of bands. They're also like septuagenarians. They're all like over 70, but you can contain those multitudes, and your community can come from more than one place. You just need to like know that you're not alone out there. That's what community is. Yeah.
What drew you into wanting to be a part of the PDX Songwriters organization?
Yeah. A lot of what we were just talking about, really, because I think what I love about Portland is also what I think is holding it back from being like the best music town in the country. And that is that we have so many different scenes, like micro scenes, like the DIY scene and like the PDX Pop Now crew. And like, it's so cool that you can like, there's people in every quadrant of this city who are doing something cool within their own community. But the problem is there's not enough like stickiness between those worlds. And so I'll see a band at, Lollipop Shop, and I'll be like, God, that was so awesome. And they'll play with this entirely different scene there and not know that like there's my scene or this other band's scene.
Yeah.
And so what I saw in PDX Songwriters was the opportunity to create some adhesion and cohesion between the disparate scenes of Portland's music community in a way that like a rising tide lifts all boats situation, where if this group of people is getting a lot of like praise and awareness, and they're not connected to anyone else, well, they're just gonna like rise by themselves. But if we can find a way to like create a unified understanding of the music scene in Portland, then everyone gets to rise together, and we get to see more venues, and we get to go to more shows, and we get to like learn new ways of writing songs all together. And so, yeah, I think the work that Sam and Andy have done in PDX Songwriters is like paving the way for what the Portland music community will be in the next 10 to 15 years. Yeah.
Is it nice for you to have a role in the music community that doesn't involve you actually creating music?
Yes, it's really cool. It's really nice. I really like the idea that I can like step back and listen and still contribute, because I think for the longest time I've felt like the only way I can contribute is if I also perform. And I work, in my civilian job is I work for a consulting group for nonprofits. And so I have resources and like I can help folks build their nonprofit. And so I think what Sam and Andy saw in me was my love of community and also my like work experience. And so I've been able to like tap into something that I don't usually get to practice within the music community, which is like systems development and building capacity and board organization and all that shit that like no one gets into nonprofits to do.
Yeah.
But needs to happen in order for it to sustain itself. So it's been really fun. It's been really cool to see that organization grow and get stronger. More than anything, just get stronger right now.
Yeah, it's like I was telling you off mics, it's I think you hang around a city long enough for a decade plus and you kind of see things like that come and go a lot just because they maybe just don't have the organization or they don't have the right people in place to create that infrastructure. And I've just been so impressed from watching from afar of the PDX Songwriters thing and just seeing how it's grown and even seeing, something like the Christmas show sell out at Mississippi Studios and seeing it grow in capacity, is pretty inspiring. And to see how many people are participating on a weekly basis and showing up to those open mics.
We just finished something called Song Church. Have you heard of Song Church?
I don't know if I know about
Song Church is it's a program that PDX Songwriters does where you have a cohort of songwriters who want to write songs together and bounce ideas off of each other. And so for a couple of months, I hopped in right at the end because someone had to back out as a facilitator. So I jumped in. I think it was like 3 months maybe. They were meeting up every other week, a couple prompts, bouncing these things off of each other, and now they're going to perform for each other and show all these songs that came from it. And it's I don't know, it's just as it gets harder and harder to find places for people to hang out outside of work or home, I think that PDX Songwriters is carving out spaces for people to just build and grow together. And that is so cool to me. Sam's talked a lot about how, she used to live in Nashville. And she's like, why doesn't something like this happen in Portland? Nashville is such an industry, but she also doesn't want it Portland to become the next Nashville. It has to be its own thing.
Yeah. We would just benefit from some more industry infrastructure.
In general.
Because it does seem like it hits a ceiling here a lot of the time. Yeah.
I think the way we like to put it at PDX Songwriters is we want people to move here to become songwriters, not to move away from here to become songwriters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which we can do. It's just it's a long road. Yeah.
Are you someone that seems to really excel or respond well to those songwriting prompts?
I mean, what's funny about that? I've taken a couple of songwriting classes online, and I've gone through PDX Songwriters song prompts, and I always get 2 or 3 songs from a prompt, and the one that is always the worst is the one that comes directly from the prompt. So for me, it's not the prompt itself that produces a great song. It produces the grease for the wheels that the next song or the one after that. That's because I had this weird box, this weird container that I had to put my song into, and then everything outside of that container is what I usually latch onto afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on when this drops, there is either a new First Rodeo record out right now or a First Rodeo record that is about to come out in the upcoming days.
May 16th.
I'm curious. I've been listening to it a lot since you sent me the link, by the way. Thanks, that man. Nothing track is just so fucking good.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Do you feel like your approach to songwriting is a lot different in that verse when you're doing stuff for your Vista House band?
Yes. I'd say that when I'm writing songs, I typically won't be I gotta write a First Rodeo song or I've gotta write a Vista House song. I'll Right. And I'll be like, what is this most like? Is this a first rodeo song? Like, and the question there is this something that I could play with Nathan Tucker and make it sound cohesive?
Yeah.
Or is this something that it speaks more to like the themes of Vista House, which is about like leaving and, showing up and wondering why you're in places. That's most of what Vista House is about. And then I play music with my brother sometimes, under the name The Great American Commute.
When he's not lost in the void.
Well, no, what I do is I invite the void in. So that's a really fun project because it's like me doing like pretty simple little folk songs.
Yeah.
And then he'll just be like, okay, I'm going to turn this in. I'm going to kind of like pull at the thread and make it something different.
Yeah.
So I try and put it into one of those three buckets and be like, where does this land?
Yeah.
The song that you referenced, Nothing, on the first Rodeo album, is a little different because sometimes, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in both of our albums, we've been like, I'd like you to write this other verse. So that one, Nathan wrote most of that song. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to write my own verse to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really like that song because like the whole time we were putting that together, we're like, I don't know about this, man. We are almost rapping and it almost is cringy. And then every time we'd like listen to a next part of it, I'd be like, oh, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that there's like anything cringy about like the approach to
I
it.
appreciate
Even though
that.
it does like, because you're not rapping.
Yeah.
But you are like,
it's
doing
rhythmic.
this kind of like ad lib thing.
Yeah.
And
we were trying to tap into like, Red House Painters.
Yeah.
Another great guy. God, talking about Mel Gibson and Mark Kozlik. Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
One of the funniest music performances I've ever seen is a Mark Kozlik show at the Aladdin Theater where he pretty much like just stood on stage with a microphone and there wasn't really any other instrumentation on stage. So it just kind of felt like he was doing
like a karaoke set?
Like karaoke dad.
Damn. I know that guy's a monster. He's not a good guy. I think that's pretty tight.
Yeah. It was also like before we knew he was a monster, I guess.
Yeah.
Scandal noted.
Yeah, totally. Yes. Note that scandal. Put it in the notes. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the feel that y'all like capture with the first rodeo stuff. It like definitely does feel like there's some distinct difference, listening to what you're doing in that project versus Vista House.
Yeah. And a lot of that is Nathan. I mean, Nathan Tucker is someone who, in a lot of ways, I think that Nathan's songwriting style is diametrically opposed to mine, where, and he might disagree with this, but like, it feels like when he writes a song, he has like intended and thought out every single possible angle to like before it even comes out.
Yeah.
And all of the introspection comes beforehand. And for me, like it's just the opposite. It's like once it's out, I'm like, oh, that's interesting that I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I love playing with Nathan, is because we find this weird middle ground in between where it's like somewhere in between subconscious and very conscious.
Yeah. It must bring something different out of you because of that approach.
Yeah, definitely. I think it brings something out of him too. Because if you listen, you should listen to his band Cool Original. Outtakes from Bad Summer is a really fucking cool album. And if you like Nothing, then I think you'd really like that album. But it's like so different than what First Rodeo does most of the time too.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's almost it must be almost sort of like a song prompt when you're writing with another lyric writer.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. You know what would be a cool prompt is like write a song with someone else's voice.
Yeah,
Never done that one.
Is there ever times like within that project where you guys are singing lyrics that the other one wrote? Like taking lead on something?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Like in Nothing, there's some like we'll both sing the the chorus, and there's a couple songs on our first album that like we're backing each other up. But I don't think we've ever done that. But like when I wrote my verse in Nothing, I was like, I need to tap into whatever Nathan is doing in this, and not try and do my own thing. I wrote about like the things I wrote about were very personal, but like very much I was trying to like tap into his style and cadence.
You had already like heard what he had written.
You know what's funny is I think that yes, I did. Yes, the first time we tried that song, he didn't have any of the lyrics except for the chorus, which is like "Don't act like it's nothing." And he just showed me, he's like da 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 da. So he knew what he was going to do, and I knew like, okay, that's the vibe you're going for.
Yeah.
But it was, so I don't know. It was like a slow process of letting those seeds kind of grow.
What do you find to be the most frustrating part about songwriting or creating art in general at this point in your life?
I guess like feeling like I've already written that song, where it's like, I'm like, oh great, it's the same theme, it's the same 4 fucking chords, and I'm just like, I just don't have the same range as I used to 10 years ago. Great, cool. I think that's frustrating. I'm not like an amazing guitar player either, so like I love experimenting and just like noodling until something sounds good, but I have my crutches, and I think that sometimes it can just be exhausting, like leaning on those crutches all the time, which makes it so I don't want to play music, which always makes me feel shittier. So it's like this cycle, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why things like song prompts and trying different tunings and like song church stuff that can shake you out of shake you off your crutches is important. Yeah.
What about your ideas around success at this point with making art? Like,
I don't know.
Where do you feel like you're at with that?
Success. Wow. Hard-hitting questions here, Dan. I think that I have the success that I'm seeking in a lot of ways, and that is a sense of community, a sense of purpose around writing songs, and people who, when they hear my songs, say, "I really like that," or "That part was really cool. How'd you do that?"
Yeah.
That's all I can hope for, and that's all I want. First Rodeo, we're going on a big tour in end of May, and never once have we been like, this is our moment to make it big. And like for folks out there trying to do that, like, go for it. Like, more power to you. In fact, like, yeah, hit us up at pdxsongwriters.com, see what kind of resources we can give you. But like, this tour that's coming up, it's like, this is a chance for me and my friends to have a good time on the road and play music in places that we don't usually play music.
Yeah.
And that is a success for me. That is a huge success for me.
Because you have experienced a nightmare of a tour.
Yeah.
Is any of that anxiety in you when you know, like, even though you're not, maybe necessarily like trying to go out on this tour and hit it big, like you're saying, or need to make like a ton of money or something on the tour, like, how do you not maybe carry over some of that looming anxiety or like some of that past experience into what you're about to go set out on?
Well, the answer is you do carry it. But you also, I guess I could say, only had one appendix. And then we're all like 10 years older than we were when that happened. And we had like a shitty van that we were like passing around the neighborhood, and that's why it died. And this time I literally opened up a credit card to use credit card points to rent a van.
Yeah.
Which is not something I would have done when I was 25, 26. And now I am, and so I feel more confident that the van won't die.
Yeah.
I feel confident that I won't die.
You do things to make it so that it's a more successful trip.
Exactly. And it's with my best friends, Nathan and Andy Rusnick, who was in Cool American, and Kyle Ross and Annie Pfeiffer, who are staples of the scene here. And I just have a lot of trust in these people that they're going to also tell us what they need. And that's the other thing though. I think that the Nightmare tour, we were in a place where success looked different. Success was this could be our shot. This could be our chance. And we're just, I don't know, we're putting the bar a little lower so we can jump over it, so we can exceed our expectations and have a great time. And we're going to be playing with some really cool bands, and I'm going to eat a lobster roll in Maine. That sounds awesome, maybe a tuna sandwich if it pops up. I don't know.
Are you going to Portland, Maine?
We'll be driving through Portland.
All right.
Yeah. What you got?
My buddy Noah put me onto this place called Eventide when we were in Portland, Maine, and it was one of the greatest meal experiences I've had. Just a lights out lobster roll. And a clam chowder. I've never had clam chowder.
Brother, so I'm there. That sounds great.
Eventide. Shout out. There's one in Boston too, I guess. But we went to the one in Portland, Maine.
We're playing Boston, but I think if I'm having a lobster roll, that's one of those foods that it just feels wrong to have it anywhere other than Maine for me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the kiddo on the way.
Yeah.
A couple months out. Are you feeling any weird creative urgency at this moment in your life? Obviously, you've got the excitement of how your creative lens is about to shift, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But is there a lot of stuff coming out of you right now, or
no. Not really. I think that this tour is definitely a big piece of me being I want to do something before my life fundamentally changes.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to see, this is the problem. I've been trying to start to write some I'm about to be a father songs, or I will protect you, baby boy. And
you're Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's just it is gonna have to come naturally, because the shit that I've written is I'm not gonna perform that for anyone. So I think that creatively, I've talked about this with my friends and my wife a lot, where it's I'm really excited for this next step, because the way I play music and the things I write music about and the kind of community ties that I might end up with will change. But I gotta think of, I just gotta think of this whole experience as I don't know, kind of its own song prompt, where I'm given this container and I get to figure out what fits and what's going to be outside of it and what to pull from that.
Yeah.
People ask me how I'm feeling about the whole situation all the time, and I just tell them I don't know. I feel good. I feel good and excited about having a kid, but I have no idea what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I don't know this kid, I don't know what he might be an asshole. He might be super cool. I don't know. So I have to, it's it seems like being a parent, coming from someone who's not a parent, is a big game of improv, where you're just yes-anding and figuring out what you're going to do next every moment, and that's exhausting but very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you.
Thanks,
and,
man.
I hope this first rodeo tour, it goes off without a hitch.
Hell yeah.
You guys have some great shows out there.
Yeah.
Stoked for everybody to get ears on this record that you've given me the sneak peek on.
Yeah.
I'll put all the links in the episode notes. So
yeah, links right down here, everybody.
You can keep up with Tim and Vista House and First Rodeo and PDX Songwriters, all the things.
Yeah.
I want to play the episode out with a track called Pride in the Fall.
Hell yeah.
Off the new First Rodeo record. That's one of my favorites off the record.
Thank you.
Do you remember anything about that one?
I mean, that one specifically is the closest I get to, like, I'm about to be a father. But, like, okay, I don't want to, like, show all my cards, but, like, a lot of the songs on this new First Rodeo album, which is called Rode Hard and Put Away Wet, which sounds gross and sexy,
so
but
good.
It's just an old cowboy term, are me trying to write from the experience of a divorced dad, like in the suburbs, in like Beaverton somewhere, and trying to like relive or figure out where he's supposed to be. And so Pride in the Fall, it's the last song on the album, and there's the refrain at the end is specifically trying to tap into that feeling of what's going to come next. And it's you either get on settling up or end up settling down every time. And that's really how I feel about this right now, is like both are fine. But that's like you got to pick one. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, great chatting with you.
Yeah,
Thanks
you
for,
too, man.
Taking the time to jump on the mics with me.
Thanks for having me. This is great. We'll get some tuna and wings one of these days. And
tuna and wings.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
No, that's
tuna and wings.
Tuna and wings.
Dog, that's pretty
There's
sick,
no I
actually.
don't know, Tim. There's tuna and wings.
I understand the idea of us being those entities. I just wonder what that flavor combination would be like.
We don't have to eat them together, but I do feel
okay.
like there is the beautiful thing about tuna is that it's very versatile in the condiments that you could put on it. So you could very easily make a buffalo style tuna.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know?
Buffalo tuna.
Like a hot fire buffalo tuna.
Oh man. All right. Tantalizing. I'd fuck with a buffalo tuna.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll make it for us.
All right.
How about that?
Let's do it, man. All right. Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, sign up for the Patreon to see how the buffalo tuna is made. Tim, we end every episode of the podcast with the guest saying the tagline for the show, which is "It's a program." It means absolutely nothing. It's just the way that my grandfather says the word program. He always says program, like turn on the news program. How's your school program going?
Oh yeah.
How's your daddy daycare program going?
That's a hell of a dude. Like a program guy.
Yeah.
I wish I was a program guy. So
yeah, me too. My favorite thing about it is he just thinks that he's saying program. Like I ask him to say program and he says program.
Right. It's like if you asked him to say graham cracker, would he say grum cracker?
I don't think so. That's why it's so good, because it's specific to this one thing.
Program, yeah.
So if we can get the Tim Howe, it's a program.
Yeah. Okay.
We can properly end this thing. It's the one time I'll ask you to look into the camera, Tim.
All right. This camera or this camera? This one? Okay, this one right here.
The only camera in the room.
Hey. It's a program.
He nailed it, everybody. That's Tim Howe. Check out Vista House. Check out First Rodeo. Kid coming soon.
Kid dropping May. No, July. Yeah.
Maybe your child and I will share the same birthday.
What's your birthday?
I'm hoping for July 28th for your kid.
I think my wife is not hoping for that. She wants a little later in
the game. Yeah. We're playing it out with Pride in the Fall from the First Rodeo record, Rode Hard and Put Away Wet. And that is the Jelly Jams. And we will catch you on the flip side, Portland, or wherever you are listening from. Maybe Tobacco Row out there in North Carolina. Maybe that's why you're listening from, in the Flatlands.
Yeehaw.
Nowhere near the mountains.
That's right.
Good.
Bye.
We did it.
Hell yeah. Thanks.
It's not a pretty sight to see me on